The movie kicks off in a world where a mysterious infection is turning people into flesh-eating monsters. Andy has been sailing with his wife, Kay, and their daughter, Rosie, trying to keep them safe. After a long stretch at sea, Andy spots an uninfected family in the distance. He waves, but the father quickly scares him away. That night, Kay argues with him, suggesting they go to a nearby town for food since their supplies are running low. But Andy refuses to take any risks. He's firm that they won't leave the boat unless it's a life-or-death situation, or they make it to the military base. The next morning, Andy notices a wrecked boat nearby and decides to check it out. He's thrilled to find food supplies and starts loading them up. But then he hears a strange noise behind a door and quickly leaves. Later, while fishing with Kay, Andy tells her about the food he found, enough to last 3 months. Kay seems a little off, but Andy reassures her it was a simple task. Kay asks Andy to rest for a bit. While he's sleeping, she sneaks off to the wrecked boat to explore. She finds a razor for Andy, but then hears the same noise Andy did. Just as she's about to leave, something mysterious grabs her and pulls her back. Andy wakes up to find blood on the floor. Panicking, he rushes to the bathroom where he finds Kay, injured. He stops the bleeding, but the situation is dire. Kay sets a timer to monitor her infection and sees the syringe meant for when things get bad. Andy wants to believe something else bit her, but Kay's words crush him. It had fingers. She's certain she was infected by a monster. Andy is devastated, but Kay refuses to leave the boat, not wanting to risk Rosie's safety. Eventually, Andy convinces her to go to a nearby hospital, but Kay sets one condition: if she turns, it'll be her decision what happens next. Eventually, they make it to shore, only to be horrified by the sight of burnt, infected bodies scattered everywhere. Shaken, they keep moving and stumble upon a car. Andy searches around and finds the keys. As he's filling it with gas, Kay spots an infected nearby and quickly warns him. Andy jumps in the car, and just in time, they speed off before the infected can get to them. Meanwhile, we catch a glimpse of Tommy sketching. Among the drawings is a haunting image of an infected creature. After driving for a while, Andy pulls over when Kay realizes that Rosie needs a diaper change. Kay steps out to help, but as Andy gets momentarily distracted, he panics when he sees Kay is missing. Rushing outside, he finds her collapsed, suffering from violent seizures. Back in the car, Kay regains consciousness and is hit with the terrible realization she's infected. Desperate, she tries to jump out of the car, but Andy stops her and pulls over. Kay, terrified of what she's becoming, pleads with Andy to leave her behind. She knows they can't wait until she turns on him or Rosie. But Andy, trying to hold it together, calms her down. When things settle, he begs her to get back in the car, but Kay refuses, reminding him it's her choice. Heartbroken, Andy admits he can't let her go. He picks her up and forces her into the car, driving off with a heavy heart. As they continue down the road, Andy suddenly spots a man standing in the middle of the street. He swerves to avoid him, causing a terrible crash. Tommy, watching from a tree nearby, witnesses the entire accident. Andy, dazed, checks on Rosie, who's thankfully safe. But when he looks over at Kay, he's devastated to see her critically injured. In his panic, Andy blacks out. When he comes to, Kay has fully transformed. Desperate to protect Rosie, Andy scrambles, but it's too late. Kay bites him. With a broken heart, Andy manages to rescue Rosie and puts an end to Kay's suffering. The loss of his wife shatters him, but as he regains his composure, the reality of his own bite sinks in. Wearing Kay's watch as a reminder, Andy sets off with Rosie, knowing his time is running out. Soon after, he encounters the same man from the road, only to realize the man is also infected. Soon after, Thummy appears and pleads with Andy to leave her infected father alone. To protect them both, she lures her father away, using her own blood to distract him. As night falls, Andy and Rosie arrive at an abandoned school, where they meet a woman named Etta. She offers Andy a seat and tends to his wound, though she admits it won't help much. She tells him he can hide the bite for now. Curious, Andy asks about her students, and Etta explains they've gone back to living in old ways, joining mobs to stay together and avoid infection. She offers them a place to stay for the night. Meanwhile, Thummy's mother is seen leading a group, hunting the infected and shouting for her daughter. Thummy, watching from a distance, hides in a cave where she's been keeping her infected father. She flashes back to a moment when she was happily laughing with her dad, and Clever Man warned them about the infection. They didn't take the warning seriously, and now they're living with the consequences. Elsewhere, Andy reaches a ruined hospital and, in desperation, loses control when he realizes there's no hope of finding help. While there, he finds a razor, and just as he's about to shave, he's hit with severe seizures, reminding him of how little time he has left. The next morning, Andy returns to Etta, who hands him Rosie and encourages him not to give up. She tells him if he wants to give Rosie a chance, he should find Thummy's father, Willie. Before he leaves, Etta warns him to steer clear of the hunting pirates roaming the area. Continuing their journey, Andy and Rosie finally reach the military base, only to find it abandoned. They take a break, and Andy gives Rosie some water. As they move on, Andy spots a horde of infected nearby and quickly tries to avoid them. In the distance, he sees a truck. As he approaches, a man named Vic steps in and saves him from the approaching infected. Vic offers Andy a deal: help him in return for access to the truck. With no other options, Andy agrees and helps Vic haul a heavy cylinder. They escape before the infected can catch up and head to Vic's hideout. Once there, Andy notices a woman named Rainey. Vic gives her a necklace and asks her to take care of Andy and Rosie. But there's something off about Rainey. Later, Andy talks with Rainey and learns she used to cook for line workers. When asked about Vic, she tells him Vic has plans for the future if things ever get better. Soon, Vic arrives and asks Andy to join him, reassuring him that Rainey will take care of Rosie. Reluctantly, Andy hands over Rosie and gives Rainey K's perfume to help calm her. Vic takes Andy to a field where they start shooting zombies surrounding a cage. After they clear them out, Andy is horrified to see that Vic steals from the dead, and the girl used as bait is Thummy. Andy wants to help, but Vic reminds him his only concern should be his daughter. Meanwhile, Rainey is playing with Rosie and gets scared when she notices blood on her. Vic then shows Andy Cleverman's cage, taunting him while setting a trap to lure more zombies. When they return to the hideout, Rainey tells Andy she cleaned Rosie up, hinting that she knows he's infected. That night, Andy plays with Rosie, heartbroken, before putting her to bed. As he steps outside, Rainey sees him leave. Andy heads to a secluded spot, kisses his engagement ring, and considers ending it all. Rainey stops him, begging him not to give up and urging him to leave Vic. She reveals that Vic isn't her husband but the one responsible for killing all the workers. Before Andy can react, Vic arrives and knocks him out. Andy wakes up inside a cage next to Thummy. Panicked, he tries to escape but fails. Apologizing to Thummy, he asks for her help to save Rosie, offering the keys to Cleverman's cage in return. Thummy warns him about an approaching zombie horde, saying they can smell the meat placed on top of their cage. Andy thinks of a plan and binds meat to a chain. As the zombies rush over the meat, the door to the cage is opened, allowing Andy to slip outside. Still, Thummy is inside, so he guides her and gets her out too. The duo then sneaks back into Vic's room. Andy wakes Rainey, grabs Rosie, and carefully picks up the keys lying beside Vic. They manage to sneak out, but Vic catches on. He calls after them, telling them to come back. As they try to flee, Rainey bravely sacrifices herself to stop Vic, allowing Andy, Rosie, and Thummy to escape. They hide in Thummy's secret spot. Not long after, Vic comes looking for them. He demands that Andy hand over Thummy, warning that if he doesn't, he can wait until Andy turns on his own daughter and Thummy. Frustrated, Vic eventually leaves. Andy struggles to break the chain holding them, but Thummy playfully tosses him the keys. As time passes, Andy's condition worsens. He starts licking blood off the wall, which terrifies Thummy. The next morning, Andy asks Thummy to lead him to the river, but she insists they find the clever man first. When Andy asks why, Thummy explains that the clever man can heal the infection by returning a person's lost soul. Andy, doubtful, tells her that even the smartest men have failed to find a cure. Thummy goes to check on her father, only to find him dead and buried inside a tree. Heartbroken, she starts to hurt herself, but Andy arrives just in time to calm her down. He tells her that her people did the right thing, as her father wasn't what she thought. Furious, Thummy calls Andy a stupid white man, and says she doesn't care about him or his baby. Despite her anger, Andy keeps moving, but he eventually collapses. When he opens his eyes again, Thummy is there, ready to help him get to the river. They sail back to where Andy first encountered the family. The trailer is empty, and Andy tells Thummy to eat some cake. He helps her clean his wound and quietly shares that he's going to find the family. Thummy warns they might not be there, but Andy reveals that if they aren't, Thummy is his only hope for keeping his daughter safe. Andy leaves and finds the father digging a hole in the ground. As Andy approaches, still focused on saving his daughter, he realizes the father has been bitten. The man shows Andy a loaded gun and admits he plans to end his family's lives because he's terrified of leaving them behind in this dangerous world. He offers Andy 2 bullets, but Andy refuses. As Andy walks away, he hears gunshots behind him, the father carrying out the heartbreaking decision. Just when Andy feels completely hopeless, Thummy arrives, gently picking up Rosie. She tells Andy she wants to go home and rubs a special powder on Rosie's cheeks to hide her scent from the infected. They continue toward a fire in the distance, but along the way, Andy is horrified to see infected creatures feasting on a corpse. Eventually, they reach a tunnel filled with infected in a deep sleep. As they carefully move through, Andy spots Vic at the other end. Andy hides, but Vic hears Rosie's voice and starts moving toward them. Andy hands Rosie to Thummy, steps out to distract Vic, and hides among the sleeping infected. Vic begins knocking them down, one by one, and just as he's about to strike Andy, Andy fights back, shooting him. Even though Vic is hit, he still manages to fight Andy off. Desperate, Vic goes for his gun, but Andy strikes again, shooting him a second time. But Vic isn't done. He finds Thummy, hurts her, and grabs Rosie from the truck. When Andy finally regains his senses and reaches them, he sees Vic holding Rosie. Andy begs him to give her back, but Vic, filled with rage, says that since Andy took Rainey from him, he'll take Rosie in return. He moves to hurt her but stops at the last moment, allowing Andy to take Rosie and leave Vic behind to die. Andy, carrying Rosie and Thummy, realizes Thummy is seriously hurt. As they walk, he gently asks her to keep talking and to teach him a few words in her language, trying to keep her conscious and comforted. Thummy manages to stay conscious, but Andy knows he's running out of time. Feeling weak, he hands Rosie to Thummy. As his condition worsens, Andy notices some meat nearby but fights the urge to go after it. Instead, he looks at Thummy, then spots the long stick she's holding, and an idea forms in his mind. Realizing he's almost out of time, Andy wraps the meat around the stick and explains his plan to Thummy. He makes her promise to protect Rosie, no matter what, and shares a heartfelt goodbye with his daughter. Instead of turning on them, Andy starts digging in the ground as his mind slips further away. Meanwhile, Thummy's mother and her people are fighting off the infected nearby. After they defeat them, they prepare to leave but stop when they hear Thummy's whistle. Ready to attack, they pause when Thummy's mother sees her daughter riding on the back of infected Andy. Her people quickly come to the rescue, welcoming Rosie and making sure she's safe. The clever man is about to kill Andy, but Thummy stops him. She takes out Kay's perfume, spraying it so that it's the last scent Andy experiences before his death. With one final gesture, she holds his hand and then allows the clever man to end his suffering. Afterward, Rosie is brought back to the other survivors, where she is warmly welcomed. Thummy is overcome with emotion when she sees, "Thank you," written on Rosie's belly, a final message from Andy. In the final scene, Andy's body is buried in a tree, just like Willie, marking the end of the journey.